you have politics on your mind every day.
Yeah, I mean, this is a manufactured issue, homelessness. It was created by a lack of investment. It was created by cutting programs. It was created by neglect on the part of policymakers of all parties, frankly.
Yeah, it turns out that lack of investment isn't the issue exacerbating homelessness in California, despite what Jennifer Friedenbach, the executive director of the Coalition on Homelessness, said there. Now, contrary to popular opinion, and I myself held this opinion, that we're not spending enough money to help people, the truth is that Californians have spent $24 billion over the last 5 years on programs meant to alleviate homelessness. But where is the money going? And are the costly programs actually effective? We don't know, because no one is tracking a damn thing. That's according to a new report from the California State Auditor's Office. Their investigation found that a council created specifically to oversee the implementation of homelessness programs has not been doing its job. 9 state agencies administered more than 30 programs aimed at preventing or reducing homelessness. Some of those programs did such a poor job tracking their outcomes that it's impossible to tell if they've been successful, according to the audit, which marks the first such large-scale accounting of the state's homelessness spending. The California Interagency Council on Homelessness, created in 2016 to oversee the state's implementation of programs dedicated to the worsening crisis, has not ensured the accuracy of the information in a state data system and has not evaluated homelessness program success, according to the state auditor. The audit dove into 5 programs that received a combined $13.7 billion in funding, and found that only 2 of them are likely cost effective. The cost effective programs include the Department of Housing and Community Development's Home Key program and the California Department of Social Services CalWorks Housing Support Program. The Home Key program helps cities and counties turn hotels and other buildings into homeless housing at an average cost of $144,000 per unit, which sounds like a lot, okay? But compare that to the $380,000 to $570,000 it would cost for new construction. But the audit couldn't determine whether the other 3 programs it studied, the State Rental Assistance Program, the Encampment Resolution Funding Program, and the Homelessness Housing Assistance and Prevention Grant Program, were effective because the state hasn't collected enough data on outcomes.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth, as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
I'm gonna pause here and just say, there are a lot of nonprofits operating in the state of California who are allegedly tasked with alleviating homelessness or providing services to homeless people living in California. There has been no oversight of how they're spending that money, whether what they're doing is effective. It is a huge problem and it is a huge racket. And anyone who dared bring this issue up, and anyone who dared to ask for oversight of these nonprofit programs was immediately talked down, was immediately smeared as someone who doesn't believe in helping homeless people, when in reality, we're living in one of the most expensive states in the country. We wanna help people and we wanna see programs that are actually effective. When we see the problem get worse year after year and we take a look at where the grants are going and we're noticing these nonprofits are a little shady, I think it's fair to call them into question. Now, going back to the programs that this audit looked into, the 3 programs that couldn't be proven to be cost effective received a total of $9.4 billion in taxpayer money since 2020. Tragically, the problem keeps getting worse, with homelessness in the state growing another 6% from 2022 to 2023. Since 2013, homelessness has grown by 53%. The estimated number of unhoused Californians has increased from about 151,000 in 2019 to more than 181,000 last year. And by the way, every year, California is spending about $50,000 per homeless person. They could literally just pay for their rent, and it would be a better program. More than 2/3 of those people are living on the street or in places unfit for human habitation, not in shelters. Republican Senator Roger Niello, vice chair of the Senate Budget Committee, said in a statement, California is facing a concerning paradox. Despite an exorbitant amount of dollars spent, the state's homeless population is not slowing down. These audit results are a wake-up call for a shift towards solutions that prioritize self-sufficiency and cost-effectiveness. Now look, the whole self-sufficiency thing makes me a little skeptical, mostly because it usually means, especially from Republican lawmakers, that they just want to stop spending money on it, period, and let people figure it out for themselves. And that's an impossible thing to do when we are dealing with a severe shortage of housing. So all that money that was spent on nonprofits should have been spent on building housing and not toward, basically funneling the money to private developers who inflate the cost of construction so they can pocket some of that money. The federal government should hire workers themselves to build the housing, and they should have a lot of oversight on the construction costs to ensure that none of that money is being wasted. But that's not what they're doing. Instead, it's this gross private public partnership thing that isn't even really focusing on construction of housing. It's really just focusing on funneling money to nonprofits that do what with the money? What do they do with it? A year ago, there was a story that broke in California and Los Angeles specifically with one of these nonprofits that had collected millions of dollars in local grants. What they were providing were literally pipes, crack pipes to people in Skid Row. How is that helping them with housing? It's just absolutely absurd. Now, Gavin Newsom has made the housing crisis and homelessness in California a top priority for himself as he eyes a future presidential run. But honestly, his failure and the insane lack of oversight of taxpayer money that we worked really hard for, should serve as a top reason why the Democratic Party should avoid nominating him. He's a failure for California. He would be a failure on a national level. He has wasted our resources. He hasn't cared enough to conduct the proper oversight of the money that's being used on these programs. And everyone has suffered in the end. Californians have suffered. Homeless people who have been living and dying on our streets have continued to suffer. The problem has only gotten worse. And this is the kind of mismanagement that, the Republican Party constantly accuses Democrats of engaging in. It's almost like Democrats in California took those accusations and said, you know what? Sure, we'll wear it. We'll do it. We'll show you how much we're willing to tax Californians while simultaneously wasting the resources that they've been willing to spend on fixing a severe problem that has caused a lot of pain and suffering in this state. It's disgusting. And I can't believe it took this long for an audit to take place.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest. We can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the Young Turks.